6:15 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here is the news edited by Dulmin Samarasinghe, assisted by Nilusha Jayamana and read by Geethanjali Ramanayaka. The headlines. People requested to limit arriving in Colombo due to the spread of a new COVID variant. A minor tremor occurs in Ampara. Plans made to bring down cost of living. 796 new national schools are to be established from this month. News overseas, US President Biden debuts at G7 with vaccines, economy and China in focus. Sports cricket, Chaminda Vas appointed as the fast bowling coach of the national squad. Local news in detail. A minor tremor has occurred in the coastal area of Pothuwil in Ampara. Deputy Director of the Disaster Management Centre, Pradeep Kodipili, said it registered 4 points in the Richter scale. He told SLBC that there were no damages to lives or property. Minister Chamal Rajapaksa says that plans are being drawn to bring down the cost of living. He mentioned this at the National Subcommittee on Agriculture of the Presidential Task Force for Economic Revival and Poverty Elimination. The minister said that farmers should be encouraged to cultivate more export crops. He emphasized that attention should be paid to make available lands that have not been cultivated for farmers to grow crops. The minister said that steps will be taken to minimize damages by animals when producing food and on agriculture. The subcommittee is considered of irrigation, wildlife, agriculture, lands, environment and plantation ministries. Discussions took place on implementing budget proposals, action plans and relevant policy decisions and to solve problems among the ministries. Minister of Education, Professor G.L. Piri, says that 796 new national schools will be established this month under 2 phases. He said that 123 schools in the first phase and 673 schools in the second phase will be upgraded to national schools. The Education Minister mentioned this while attending Social Infrastructure Development Committee of the National Programme to Uplift Rural Economy in Galle today. 950 million rupees has been allocated for the first phase and 1,000 million rupees for the second phase. 500 million rupees will be spent on rehabilitation in the first phase and 450 million rupees on equipment. The minister said that the National Schools Network should be restructured and the Nearest School Best School program will be implemented with changes. Chairman of the Committee on Public Enterprises, Professor Charita Herath, says that Sri Lanka Insurance Corporation has been summoned to the committee on the 23rd of this month. The committee is scheduled to examine the tasks of the project to resettle families living in high-risk zones and landslides in Kandy district on the 24th of this month. The Director of National Blood Transfusion Service, Dr. Lakshman Edirisinghe, says there has been a depletion of blood services during the past 2 weeks due to the prevailing COVID-19 pandemic situation. He said they have decided to take new measures to increase the blood reserves for the next 2 weeks. Dr. Edirisinghe appealed to blood donors and donation camp organizers for their contribution in this regard. All blood donation procedures will be carried out in compliance with health regulations. Assistant Director of Badula District Disaster Management Unit, EML Udayakumara, says that equipment to measure quality and pollution of the atmosphere in Badula District has been installed. He said that the equipment can analyze data on dust particles, carbon dioxide, humidity and atmospheric pressure. Sergeant-at-Arms Narendra Fernando says that 3 days of the next week have been allocated for the members of the Parliament who did not get the vaccine so far to get it. He said that Sri Lanka National COVID Task Force has made arrangements to vaccinate them. Accordingly, they can get their vaccines from the 23rd to the 25th of this month from 8:30 a.m. to 12 noon at Military Hospital in Narahenpita, Colombo. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa paid homage to the sacred tooth relic at Sri Dalada Maligava in Kandy today. Thereafter, he called over and received blessings of the Mahanayaka of Malwatu chapter, Most Venerable Tibbatuave Sri Siddhartha Sumangala Mahanayaka Thero. Prime Minister visited Anunayaka of Malwatu chapter, Venerable Dimulkubure Sri Sarankara Vimaladharma Thero and Anunayaka Niyangoda Vijitasiri Thero. The Prime Minister called on the Mahanayaka of Askiri Mahavihara chapter, Venerable Dhammasiddhi Sri Pragnananda Jnanaratana Thero and Anunayaka Venerable Venerue Upali Thero. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
HDFC Smart Goals. All it takes is 3 years.
A Dhamma sermon in memory of the late speaker W.J.M. Lokumandara will be held on the 22nd of this month at 3 p.m. at the Parliamentary Complex under the patronage of Speaker Mahindayapa Abewardana. The Mahanayaka of Amarapura Sri Dhammarakita Mahanikaya and Chief Monk of Bambalapitiya Sri Vajraramaya Temple, Most Venerable Trikunamale Ananda Thero, will deliver the sermon. Secretary General of the Parliament, Dhammika Disanayaka, has requested all parliamentarians to attend the religious event. The 115th Ratana Sutra chanting, organised by the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation, takes place this evening from Ratnapura Madampe Sri Sumanarama Temple. The Ratana Sutra chanting will be held under the guidance of the Chief Monk of the temple, Venerable Madampe Pragna Murti Thero. It will be broadcast at 6:30 p.m. over SLBC's Sinhala Commercial Service, City FM and regional services. That ends local news for now, and the main news story follows.
Darling, our daughter has top O-level results. Do you know what this means?
Yes, just 3 years and she'll be going abroad for her degree.
For which we'll need a bank loan.
But is a normal loan the smartest option?
What else?
The smartest way is to start an HDFC Smart Goals account.
Let your child begin their degree with no delays. Start an HDFC Smart Goals account. Call 2356 888.
Honey, you're so smart.
HDFC Smart Goals. All it takes is 3 years.
A mother knows the pain of each member of the family. Siddhalepa, the trusted relief for aches and pains.
An effective therapy for relief from cold, sneezing, flu, headaches, swelling due to toothaches, rheumatic, discomforts, and muscular aches and pains. Siddhalepa, the Veda Mahatmya in every home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Veda Mahatmya.
Chief Medical Officer of the Colombo Municipal Council, Dr. Ruwan Wijayamuni, says that the new COVID variant is spreading fast. He said that a person infected with the new variant has been found from the Colombo city. Therefore, he requested the public to limit arriving in Colombo city. Dr. Wijayamuni also requested the people to limit attending weddings, funerals and other functions. That was our main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Veda Mahatmya.
Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddhalepa.
In Watchlight this evening, water supply for several urban and municipal council areas in the Colombo district will be suspended for 16 hours tomorrow due to essential maintenance work. The National Water Supply and Drainage Board said the water cut will be in effect from 8 a.m. to 12 midnight. Accordingly, Colombo, Dehiwala Mount Rainier, Shriva Jayawardhanapura Kotte and Kaduwela Municipal Council areas and Maharagama, Borlaskamua and Kolonawa Urban Council areas will be affected by the 16-hour water cut. That came to you in Watchlight.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
From the first step you take till the time we meet, the trusted leader prioritizes you always.
All you need under one roof. People's Leasing.
the trusted leader.
World News headlines. US President Biden debuts at G7 with vaccines, economy and China in focus. The UN says violence is still raging in South Sudan despite peace deal. Huawei turns to pig farming as smartphone sales fall. World News in detail. US President Joe Biden will attend his first meeting with a group of 7 leaders today to discuss plans to defeat the coronavirus, reopen the battered world economy, and counter challenges posed by China. The COVID-19 pandemic has killed 2.4 million people, tipped the global economy into its worst peacetime slump since the Great Depression, and upended normal life for billions. A United Nations report said today violence is still raging in vast swathes of South Sudan a year after peace deal was signed to end a civil war that began in 2013. The UN's Commission on Human Rights in South Sudan said attacks by armed groups against civilians intensified in 2020 and victims are targeted along ethnic lines, often with the support of the government and the opposition forces. Commission Chairwoman Yasmin Suka said the scale of violence exceeds that of 2013 to 2019. Huawei is turning to technology for pig farmers as it deals with tough sanctions on its smartphones. The Chinese telecoms giant was stopped from assessing vital components after the Trump administration labeled it a threat to U.S. national security. In response to struggling smartphone sales, Huawei is looking at other sources of revenue for its technology. Along with artificial intelligence, tech for pig farmers, Huawei is also working with the coal mining industry. Before we end this bulletin of world news, the headlines once again. US President Biden debuts at G7 with vaccines, economy and China in focus. The UN says violence is still raging in South Sudan despite peace deal. Huawei turns to pig farming as smartphone sales fail. Huawei turns to pig farming as smartphone sales fall. That was your world news.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
From the first step you take till the time we meet, the trusted leader prioritizes you always.
All you need under one roof.
People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
In development news, Trade Minister Bandula Gunawardena said 8 new towns will be built in Homagama under the guidance of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa and Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. The minister said that the Meegoda Wholesale Exchange Centre, Godagama Agricultural Granary, Diagama Sports City, Homagama Knowledge City, Barawa Biodiversity Eco City, Homagama Supermarket, a garment city in the Godagama Ingiriya Zone and an export city in Kathudua will be set up under the project. That was development news. And on to sports news, cricket. Sri Lanka Cricket said former Sri Lanka fast bowler Chaminda Vaas has been appointed as the fast bowling coach of the national squad for the upcoming West Indies tour. Vaas is one of the most successful and accurate left-arm seamers Sri Lanka has ever had. Later, Indipper was his trademark delivery. Vaas was also known for his carefully disguised off-cutter bowling. The appointment came after David Secker stepped down as Sri Lanka's fast bowling coach day before the West Indies tour. The tour, which consists of 2 tests, 3 ODIs and 3 T20 internationals, will begin on the 3rd of March. In tennis news, world number 1 Ash Barty, who exited the Australian Open with a quarter-final defeat, has taken a wild card to defend her title at the WTA 500 event in Adelaide next week. The 24-year-old Australian will be the top seed at the $535,530 event, scheduled to be held from the 22nd to the 27th of February at the Memorial Drive Tennis Centre in South Australia. That was Sports News.
Contributory deposit of ₹1,000 from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
DFCC Bank weathered pandemic-induced stress successfully to emerge largely unscathed and reported higher earnings through prudent measures adopted to navigate the headwinds during the quarter ended 31st December 2020. The development lender turned commercial bank reported earnings of 2.34 rupees a share or 716.5 million rupees for the quarter under review compared to 2.02 rupees a share or 516.1 million rupees in the corresponding period of 2019. That was Business News.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
Economic news, courtesy of
Just move on real time, save more, LOLC real time. Paying the premium for transactions, simply save now real time. Day night, no trouble for your transactions, LOLC real time. Download LOLC Finance real time app for your LOLC savings account. Attractive interest rates, transactions anytime, anywhere with a zero cost and more benefits.
The commercial capital Colombo has emerged as the most searched city for rent in 2020, indicating high interest among locals. A study on search trends by Lanka Property Web revealed that people preferred residing in financial centre. Following Colombo closely were Kandy and Dehiwala. Similarly, for property purchasers too, Colombo topped the list as the most preferred city, maintaining its 2019 position. Ranking second was Kandy, followed by Negombo. That was economic news.
Congratulations on your promotion. It will be our treat, huh?
How about today?
Oh no, I was just joking.
It's fine. I have my LOLC credit card with me. Let's go out today.
Introducing LOLC Finance Credit Cards. Fuel the goodness in you.
And on our weather update, the Met Department says showers will occur at times in the eastern, northern, north central and Ua provinces and in the Marthale and Nuwara districts. Showers or thunder showers will occur at a few places in the Sabaragamuwa province and in the Kalutara, Galle and Mathura districts during the evening or night. Misty conditions can be expected at some places in the central Sabaragamuwa and Ua provinces and in the Galle and Mathura districts during the morning. That was the weather report, and before we end this news broadcast, the headlines once again. People requested to limit arriving in Colombo due to the spread of a new COVID variant. A minor tremor occurs in Ampara. Plans made to bring down cost of living. 796 new national schools are to be established from this month. News overseas, US President Biden debuts at G7 with vaccines, economy and China in focus. Sports, cricket, Chaminda Vas appointed as the fast bowling coach of the national squad. That ends this evening bulletin of news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.